Citizens Climate Lobby is a nonprofit, nonpartisan, grassroots advocacy climate change organization focused on national policies to address climate change. In order to generate the political will necessary for the passage of the Energy Innovation and Carbon Dividend Act, they train and support volunteers to build relationships with elected officials, the media, and their local community. Trout Unlimited has partnered with Citizens Climate Lobby in support of the Energy Innovation and Carbon Dividend Act. Trout Unlimited views the Energy Innovation and Carbon Dividend Act as a strong start that Congress should seriously consider. It is a bipartisan, market-based approach that will reduce Americans' emissions by at least 40% in the first 12 years. Trout Unlimited is encouraging councils and chapters to partner with their local Citizens Climate Lobby chapter on climate advocacy and joint presentations. In the words of Brian Wagner, Pennsylvania Council of Trout Unlimited's Conservation Chair, climate change has already begun to alter our nation's lakes and rivers and many of the places we love to fish and recreate, and our work to build resilient watershed fisheries is not enough. Substantial carbon emission reduction, getting at the root of the problem, is an essential part of the equation.
I am so pleased that the members of Trout Unlimited are interested in pushing for action on climate change. My name is Sylvia Neely, and I used to teach history at Penn State. I retired to try to stop climate change from getting worse. When I first started about 12 years ago, there were some who questioned how serious climate change was going to be. But now we are already seeing the effects in increased storms and droughts and change in our seasons, and the costs of these disasters are going way up as well. I chose to volunteer with Citizens Climate Lobby for 3 reasons. They promote the best plan for reducing greenhouse gas emissions. They are strictly nonpartisan, and their work is driven by volunteers. There are now almost 600 chapters around the world. In Pennsylvania, we have chapters in every congressional district, and we make a point of working with our elected representatives to urge action on climate. We believe that members of Congress will act only if they are convinced that their constituents want them to do so. Therefore, we inform people that there are ways to stop climate change and urge people to communicate with their elected officials. We have a monthly calling campaign to Congress. We write letters to the editor and op-eds in our local newspapers. We encourage businesses and organizations to endorse action on climate. We give educational presentations on energy options and how to reduce energy use. And we table at public events to spread the word. We work with our local communities to promote decisions that will help reduce emissions. And of course, as our name indicates, we lobby our members of Congress, helping them to see the importance of this issue for their districts. Economists agree that the best way to reduce emissions that are causing climate change is to make fossil fuels more expensive. That is what we call pricing carbon, and there are 2 ways to do that. What you see here is a cap and trade system area. The government sets a ceiling on how much carbon dioxide can be put into the atmosphere and auctions off permission for you to burn fossil fuels and put carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. In the United States, there are 2 cap and trade systems, California and the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative, which we sometimes call RGGI, which Pennsylvania just joined in April. Now, CCL favors a different way of pricing carbon. We favor a kind of carbon tax. A carbon tax puts a price on the carbon dioxide content of fossil fuels. That is, the amount of carbon dioxide that will be produced when the fuel is burned. The tax is collected when the fuel is produced or mined or imported. The advantage to this system is that it's simple and cheap to operate. It's transparent. It's hard to game the system. One important advantage of a carbon tax is that it affects all of the economy, not just the electricity production, as in most cap and trade systems. This will encourage businesses and individuals to switch to cheaper renewable energy. The bill we support is called the Energy Innovation and Carbon Dividend Act. It would place a steadily rising fee on the carbon content of fossil fuels. This is a business-friendly approach because it's not telling people what they must do. Because the fee rises every year, businesses can plan ahead and transform their transportation and production to clean energy. At first, during the transition to cheaper renewable energy, the prices of goods may go up, and that can be a hardship on poorer people. That's why Citizens Climate Lobby advocates that all money raised from a carbon tax should go back to American households in the form of a cashback or dividend. So this system is sometimes called a carbon fee and dividend system. It's a protection for people during this transition to a new clean energy economy. 95% of households in the bottom 60% of income will come out even or ahead. So in other words, almost all households that are in the 60% in lower income will be even or ahead. They won't be suffering because of it. This is the real genius of the plan. The money collected is not kept by the government. Instead, it's distributed monthly to households. Each adult would get one share and each child half a share. This way of pricing carbon will not increase the size of the government or cost taxpayers anything. It pays for itself. An important consideration for American businesses and our international competitiveness is what's happening in Europe. In Europe, they have a price on carbon, and next year they will be introducing something that they call a CBAM, Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism. Basically, Europe is placing a tariff on goods imported from countries that do not have a price on carbon. Canada, another big trading partner which has a carbon fee and dividend system, is planning a similar measure. These are two of our big trading partners, Europe and Canada. So our companies in the United States will suffer on the international market unless we also have a price on carbon. So we need to think big to solve a big problem. And we need lots of people working on this constantly. One of the things I like about the Energy Innovation and Carbon Dividend Act is the innovation part. If we give people incentives to come up with better and cheaper ways of doing things, I have confidence that American genius and creativity will step forward and lots of new ideas will be developed. But we need to get the incentives right. And that's what a price on carbon does. It's effective, it acts immediately, it's good for health, it's good for the planet, it's good for long-term development, and it's going to solve the problem.
For more information on how you or your chapter can become involved with Citizens Climate Lobby, visit www.citizensclimatelobby.org.